Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I'm taking Carla for a food. It's much better than being at home. Go. Oh, pity you got here too late. What's this one like? So at this point, this video is going to take a hard left. I was out in the woods. I was about to find some beautiful mushrooms. So I was in a lovely dense pine forest up near Oban, northwest of Scotland. I found some chanterelles in this like lovely mossy patch. It was really, really green. I'm sure it would have been like lovely footage. I also found some white oyster mushrooms. Picked enough to make something nice. Brought them back home. Kept them in the fridge for a few days. Brushed all the sand off them, the soil off them. You know, they were in really great condition, and I thought, oh, I'm going to make a really nice thing with these. So I made myself a souffle, a mushroom souffle, which turned out pretty nice. And well, actually, here it is. So this has come out pretty good. That's delicious. The mushroom flavour is lovely. It's very smooth. It's a very smooth mushroom flavour. Pretty nice looking, eh? Very tasty. Enjoyed that a lot. But then I actually somehow managed to lose the footage of me actually making the souffle and picking the mushrooms. So I don't like doing things by halves or leaving things half done. So I'm now going to go to some other woods local to me. Well, not that local to me, about 30 miles away from my house. It's decent time for mushroom picking. I mean, it's mid-October now, so right in the middle of the autumn. It's not been as wet as it could have been, but I'm going to go and have a look and see what I can find. Hopefully I can find something that I can use to make the souffle again, because I enjoy making the souffle so much. I thought, well, I'm just going to take it to completion and do it again. Oh, this is a nice one. So this is just emergent fly agaric. Amanita Muscaria. Potentially edible if handled very specifically. Readily consumed if you're a Siberian shaman. So it turns out my foraging in the local woods wasn't so successful, and the only mushroom that I managed to find that I could actually really positively identify was this one. Amanita Muscaria, or fly agaric. Now, not really the type of mushroom that I was expecting to find, but when you get lemons, make lemonade, or make magic mushroom souffles. So this has got an active chemical in it. I believe it's called muscimol. I remember reading about this a few years ago. It's an interesting mushroom for many reasons. But it wouldn't really be my first choice. So this chemical, muscimol, is actually hallucinogenic. These were used by Siberian shamans to access the other dimension, the spirit world. And it's an interesting chemical. So I think it's like quite unpleasant. If it passed through the body of another, through the liver and kidneys of another, and then you happen to drink their urine, apparently that takes away the unpleasantness, and people would go to the shaman. The shaman would ingest these mushrooms in these Siberian communities, and then the people would drink the shaman's urine and trip balls. Not my intention really. So to avoid that happening, I'm going to prepare the mushroom. But this is listed as a poisonous mushroom or a hallucinogenic mushroom. So, you know, it's not necessarily. I mean, it is. You still not tell anybody to eat it. But there are ways to prepare it, i.e. you boil it and leach the toxins out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean it up and slice it, and then I'm going to boil it for 15 minutes, and that should give it plenty of time for all the toxins that are in there to leach out. And then I'm going to see how much I've got left, see if I've got enough to do anything with, because I've only got this one mushroom. Look at this image here. This is an interesting mushroom. So let's use this interesting mushroom and make something interesting. Okay, so I'm going to try and make this pretty much the same as I did the first one, since it turned out quite well. Oh, this time I am going to put some onion in, though I didn't the first time around. The first time I didn't put onion in, and I used much less garlic than I plan to use in this one. That was primarily because I was using chanterelles, and I thought I didn't want to kill the taste of the chanterelles. Now I have actually tasted Amanita Muscaria before, and it's got like a really mild honeyish, sort of almost sweet flavour actually. It's quite strange. But I've just only got one small specimen, so to make this a nice dish, I'm going to round the flavours out a little bit and use a little touch of garlic and the onion. Okay, so this has been 15 minutes. It'll be at a rolling boil, and the water's actually changed colour. The red has leached out of the mushrooms and into the water, and the water's looking quite browny now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to strain them out and then rinse them in clean cold water. So here we go. The texture is surprisingly firm. I've dried them, I've rinsed them, dried them, and yeah, like they've actually firmed up for being boiled, which is news to me. I guess that's them rendered inert now, and all of the active chemicals have been washed out of them. And I suppose, I mean, in theory, I could try this now to get an idea of the flavour, but yeah, boiled mushrooms, it's not doing it for me. So I'm going to fry them and then add them into the rest of the dish. I am probably going to stick a couple of these mushrooms in as well, just to bulk out the mushroom flavour, because yeah, I guess I could use just that, but I'd rather have a little bit more going on. Anyway, let's see how it goes. And goes the fly agaric. So I've got 4 eggs here, but I'm not going to use all 4 egg yolks. I'm going to add 2 of them into my mushroom bechamel, and then I'm going to whip the 4 egg whites. So 2 yolks used, 2 kept for something else, and I'm going to whip these 4 egg whites. This is smelling pretty nice. Obviously wood, it's garlicky, it's mushroomy, it's oniony. I'm going to add a little flour in because what I want to make is a bechamel sauce. So effectively make a roux with the olive oil that I put in there to start with, and the mushroom juice, and a touch of flour. There we go. Stir that in. Let's give it another little dash of olive oil so it can absorb some more flour. Souffle is all about a balance of lightness versus stability. So by adding, this is all the flour I'm going to put in the recipe. I'm adding it all in at this stage. But we are going to need some flour to support the structure of the souffle when it's cooking. Obviously the eggs do a lot of that work, but what happens is the eggs will puff up and the souffle will rise with the hot air steam expansion, but it'll collapse upon itself when it comes out of the oven. If it's got the flour in there, then it's got the gluten structure that cooks through, and then that protein structure allows it to hold itself with a lot more sort of volume. So next stage is to start adding the milk. I'm using oat milk because I don't do dairy. If I did do dairy at this stage, I'd be adding in a little bit of blue cheese, just crumbling some blue cheese in as I add my milk. This oat milk's terrible. We're going to cook it through so all the flour gets cooked out, and then we're going to lighten it with the egg whites, the whipped egg whites. And the idea is that those whipped egg white proteins have trapped loads of air, and when we put that in a hot oven, all those pockets of air that are distributed throughout the souffle are going to expand, and the souffle is going to rise. Yeah, some of these oat milks aren't very good because they don't coagulate together. They don't amalgamate. So what you get is this like separated watery stuff with like calciumy bits at the bottom. The Alpro ones tend to be better. This is just a cheap one that I picked up in a state of emergency. Great for cooking with though in general oat milk. It's got a good flavour. and it seems to perform just like normal milk. Okay, so that's pretty much the consistency I'm after. Now, the egg yolks can go in, and there's a little bit of chopped up rocket. The rocket is as much for colour as anything else. Give it a little taste. It's good. A little more salt. Then I think a touch of black pepper. So here's what I'm going to use to cook my souffles in. I'm going to line them, I don't want to take any chances. I'm just going to smear a little bit of oil on the inside of the tin just to act as a sticking agent, and then I'm going to put one of these in. That should do. So the idea here is with the paper is that the souffle you can fill the souffle up to the level of the tin, and then it can rise up during the cooking process, and then what it'll do, it'll fall back down to about the level of the tin. It means that you don't end up with a pancake. Okay, so you put one little spoonful of egg snow into the mixer just to loosen it up a bit. This mixture's been off the heat for about 5 minutes now, so it's just cooled down to being warm. Feels good. Okay, and then we're just going to gently fold the egg whites into our saucy mixture. You need to be firm enough with it so that you're actually breaking up the lumps of egg white, because you don't want just big lumps of egg white, because you'll be able to see that in the final product. But at the same time, obviously you don't want to be so rough that you're just knocking all of the air out. You want to try and disperse some of those air bubbles evenly throughout the mixture. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to preheat the oven, get it up to 200 degrees, fill my tins, and then put them in, hope for the best. Like always. You need to be careful at this point that you don't get any of the mixture onto the paper. You don't want it to fall down between the layers of paper or the tin and the paper itself, because it's going to make a mess of the whole job. Okay, they look great. Happy with this so far. Okay, that was a little sneak peek. It's looking good so far. So now I'm just going to turn down the temperature of the oven a little bit. They've risen quite a lot actually, and they're starting to firm up and set. So we'll just turn the oven temperature down a little bit and then give them another 10 minutes. About another 5 minutes. So they've been in 35 minutes now, and I think that's enough. So at the moment they're sitting well above the top of the tin, but they will definitely sink down again. So I usually twice bake these. So what I do is I let them go into the fridge to cool down overnight, and that way all of the flavours just amalgamate and it becomes more flavoursome. A bit like a stew or a curry that you leave overnight. The souffle has been in the fridge for a couple of days now, so hopefully it's got a nice mushroomy flavour. I'm going to rebake it and see how it turns out. For the second baking process, I'm going to use some oat cream. I'd suggest if you can use double cream, dairy double cream, because it's just going to taste better. Make sure you put a little bit on the bottom of the dish that you're going to use, so that there's a layer of cream between the bottom of the souffle and the tin itself. Preheating the oven to 200 degrees. And just turn the souffle upside down. Touch more cream over the top. A flake or two of sea salt. And a little bit of chopped parsley. Touch more cream. finally a few tomatoes. Pop that in at 200 degrees and I think it'll take about 10 to 15 minutes. Here we have our divine souffle of immortality. Hopefully it's got very strong magic properties. Well, actually, hopefully it doesn't have very strong magic properties. Let's hope it has no magic properties at all and just tastes good. Oh, good texture. Oh, that's really nice. I feel hot though. The texture is lovely. It's nice and light. It's very hot. This is actually better than the first one. I think having the onion in there gives it like a little bit of sweetness and it just makes the whole thing, oh, it tastes really good. It's also been in the fridge longer than the other one as well before I rebaked it. I can definitely taste mushrooms. Whether whether the Amanita Muscaria is the overpowering mushroom flavour in here, I don't know, or whether it's just general mushrooms, because I did put 3 chestnut mushrooms in as well to bulk it out. That's delicious. There's a piece of Amanita there. Who knew it? That tastes awesome. That tastes actually awesome. Look how light it is. It's all jiggly. Oh, it's really good. I'm really pleased with this. Like I said, this is definitely better than the first one, so I guess practice makes perfect. I would eat this all day long. The Amanita's definitely got a distinct flavour of its own. I'm a bit taken aback by this. I mean, I enjoyed the last one, but this is the next level. I hope it's wise to eat it all. Maybe I should just eat a little bit and then see what happens. See if I start there, see how I feel in like 30 minutes. That's been a definite success. So I might drop down dead in 5 minutes. I might not. But one thing I do know, I can't guarantee whether it's safe or not, but I can guarantee that Amanita Muscaria is actually a very, very edible mushroom. And the chunks of it in here have got a very distinct, and it is a taste of honey. They actually do taste of honey. Let's see if I can find another big piece of it. this soma souffle. Oh well, great. I enjoyed that. It's been an hour since I ate the souffle. I'm feeling a little strange. When I do this, it's almost like there's trails of light following my fingers. Nah, not really. It was lovely.